This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
First things first.
Things first, it's the DU General, Money B. I'ma put you up on the schedule, 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not 2 and 7. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis.
First things first.
KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. The show is called First Things First. And my very first thing today and every day, giving thanks, giving praises, and asking for blessings from God, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders. And let's go. We got a lot to talk about. We got a lot going on around here. Okay, so it is what we call a Talking Point Tuesday. This is where we do our best to debunk and debone some of these talking points that are flying around. Many times we find ourselves repeating them without understanding where that thought came from or why we're saying it, who's behind it, fail to follow the money. So we try to do that every Talking Point Tuesdays. There's so many talking points right now flying out of X and the bowels of Washington. It's hard to keep up. But here's a tip. We don't have to keep up. We're not obligated to keep up with all of their lies and BS. Just as many as we need to get through each and every day and to plan the resistance, protest, pushback du jour. That's the only one we have to really track. Okay, so Talking Point Tuesday, we try to debunk talking point BS all day. Hour one, we look local. Hour two, we go national, international, and beyond. And in the third hour, we do a deep dive. So today in hour two, we will be honoring our tradition of bringing in a Republican pundit to agree to disagree with me. This time it will be my colleague, John Wood Jr., who hosts his own show. In fact, he's the only Republican on KBLA with his own show. He'll be joining me in the studio this morning. Right now, it's me, you, and this microphone. And we, let's share, let's talk, let's argue. Or not. We can do the kumbaya thing too. It's 800-920-1580. Reminding you to tap in with us on all social media. We are at KBLA. I always say like black without the C and the K. KBLA 1580. That's our handle on all the social media apps. It's also where you can find us on YouTube, where we stream most every day. I'm streaming right now live, and they have a good conversation going on most days in that chat. So you can be part of that if you're too shy to call 800-920-1580, or you're at work and you can't do it. I get it. 800-920-1580, though, if you want to, speak on the mic. And then, of course, you can find me at DiPrima Radio, DiPrima, and then radio. Please like, follow, subscribe. I have my own YouTube channel. we got a lot going on around here, and happy you could be part of it. And I think, staying on top of the noise that's going on in Washington is part of our job, part of my job, but also making sure we have a nice variety of things that we talk about. Did you go to the parade? I watched some of it. I would love to hear how you honored President's Day. I'm happy to report that many people honored President's Day with protests. There were protests all over the country, and many of them taking place in state capitals or at Tesla headquarters or Tesla charging stations, including in Long Beach. The Not My President's rally on President's Day was protesting not just the new Confederate MAGA Republican administration of Donald Trump, but also the role of Elon Musk, who is not elected, who is a billionaire, not just a billionaire, but the richest man in the world, and who stands to profit enormously from his power and influence. I think one of the things that's really activating people is this idea that he and his minions now have access, and we don't know to what degree because we're hearing conflicting reports. Oh, it's read only. Oh, no, it's read and rewrite. Access to IRS data, your tax info, which, of course, that includes your socials and all kinds of other social security number, not social media, all kinds of other information that you really don't want a guy who has a vested interest in exploiting us as consumers, but also who has clearly a far right-wing fascist agenda. I mean, he's supporting the far right-wing fascist resurgence, the neo-fascists in Germany, very robustly and publicly, to the point where the German prime minister personally pushed back, and where other European nations are pushing back. And so there's this political agenda, right? And clearly a petty targeting of people that he has even the slightest grievance against. And then this commercial interest, which seems to Trump, pun intended, his competitors. If I have all of the data of all of the consumers in the entire country, does that give me, the richest man in the world, a competitive advantage? Yes, it does. So I'm happy to see folks protesting. Is that going to be enough? No. But is it important? Is it a start? Yes. It is true that protests tend to spread. It is true that courage is contagious. We saw it in 2020, although the mainstream media is going out of their way not to cover these protests, which are not just in Los Angeles or on the left coast, which is the home of SpaceX, and to some degree Tesla, although he's moved the headquarters to Texas. A lot of manufacturing remains here. It's important that we let the world know that we're not on board with this new Confederate coup. It's important that we let each other know that a lot of folks, many Americans, and I would venture to guess the majority, do not agree with this takeover by unelected oligarchs. Elon Musk is the one up there jumping around, waving his hands, hopping up and down at rallies, and leading the Department of Grifters for Elon, as I call it, Doge, Department of Grifters for Elon. It should say and Trump, but there's no Trump on there. Maybe that's implied, since Trump has magically granted, like a king, this authority to Elon Musk. But there's others too, the Peter Thiels, who are not as quick to be out there like little puppet masters with their kids and all their business in the White House, in the Oval Office, with their kids telling the president to be quiet. He's not the president, and he needs to shut his effing mouth. Wow. I mean, everyone said it, so it's not exactly a hot take, but he heard that from his dad. No 4-year-old, I don't care how high Trump thinks his IQ is, no 4-year-old is thinking that up on his own, that Trump is not the real president. Obviously, he got that from his dad. And to me, here's the take that I haven't heard. Why would Donald Trump, why would he allow someone to disrespect him publicly? Allow the kid to disrespect? All he does is look at the kid. A reporter can't even ask him a pointed question without being told they're stupid and whatever. Trump is allowing this man's kid to tell him to STFU, and he's not the president, publicly in the Oval Office in the middle of a press conference. And he has nothing to say about it except that the kid is brilliant. To me, the only solution, the only thing that motivates this man in the White House more than his ego, flattery, and stroking is money. So it means that $250 million that Elon Musk spent on the campaign is only the tip of the iceberg. This man must be funneling more money to Trump and Melania. I'm speculating, but there's no way that a narcissistic man who's been rich his entire life and had people kissing all of his body parts only because they are trying to get money, power, access. Why would he let a 4-year-old disrespect him in front of the press? Why would he let someone appear to usurp his power and authority and just sit there? There has to be money involved. And I would venture to guess it's more than that $250 million, which went to the campaign. There's more to it than that. So good job, Long Beach. Good job, major cities and capitals and outside city halls around the country. Good job, the signs that say impeach Trump and felon plus Elon equals treason. Yeah, hundreds out in downtown Long Beach. And that's not the only place. As I said, it's happening nationwide. So be encouraged. You are not alone. We're with you. And it's not just us. It's people around this nation and across the planet. If you want to weigh in, 800-920-1580. We are unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I have a dream today.
They said it couldn't be done. They said we wouldn't make it. But history had other plans. This February, KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates the dreamers, the doers, and the breakthrough makers of Black History Month. Your station, your stories. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 stands with you, neighbor to neighbor, bringing you resources and what you need to know. For information on fire recovery resources, recovery hubs, and available services, call 211 for the City of Los Angeles and 311 countywide. Aid distribution locations, repopulation updates, and safety rules are constantly changing. Visit the LA City and LA County websites for the latest. If you'd like to sign up for the county's free debris removal, fill out a right of entry form, or get a list of disaster recovery centers that are still active, please visit recovery.lacounty.gov or call the debris hotline at 844-347-3332. If you're vulnerable to mudslides with rain in the forecast, free sandbags are being offered. Go to lacounty.pw/sandbags to find out where to get them. Businesses who have lost their facilities due to the fires can use a regional online source to get free or discounted locations. Whether you're interested in donating or finding space, you can visit the business-to-business Space Share portal at spaceshare.lacounty.gov. Additional LA County small business support and programs can be found at opportunity.lacounty.gov. Praying, advocating, and standing with you KBLA Talk 1580.
Febreze.
It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy. Febreze. La 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 la.
1 in 3 children born today will get diabetes. This sad prediction by the Centers for Disease Control will come true if millions of Americans don't improve their lifestyles, especially by changing what they eat, how much they eat, and how active they are every day. Every 23 seconds, another American gets diabetes. Stop diabetes before it starts. To learn more, contact the American Diabetes Association or download our free diabetes education programs at learningaboutdiabetes.org.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station,
And your favorite morning show host.
Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Right now, I'm here, and you're invited in 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. That howl that you hear in the distance, that's the sound of thousands of LAUSD students dealing with their first day of a universal ban on cell phones in public school here in Southern California. That may sound, I don't know, like obvious to you, but I feel like it's been a long time coming. A lot of folks, have been calling for this. I don't know. I think in a way it's obvious, but I think it's going to be way more of a problem than folks think, because young people have gotten used to having their phones at school. And, with all of these disasters that we have, you want your child to be able to get in touch with you on the one hand, right? If there's a fire or, an active shooter or some other kind of craziness, you want your child to be able to reach you. You want to be able to talk to your child when you're trying to find them. But at the same time, I don't know how you teach a kid with a cell phone on. I wish that I would have realized the impact of my child having a cell phone. I would have waited longer for them to have it. I would have waited longer, because I was one of those ones who said, I would argue with my child's dad, oh, well, he should have a cell phone at age 6, because in case there's a Columbine, I need my child to be able to call me. And luckily, my child's dad won that argument, and we did not get him a cell phone at 6. In fact, I acquiesced to his desires in that and did not get my child a cell phone until they were in middle school. Now I wish I would have waited till high school, in hindsight. Because once they have it, it's like you just lose their attention. Even though I had rules, you can't charge it in your room. You can't keep it in your room at night. It has to be where I can see it once it's, time to go to bed, et cetera, et cetera. It doesn't matter. You cannot compete with the entire internet, right? And I know teachers can't compete with the entire internet. But now that children are used to them and they're just like we are, totally addicted to their phones, it's going to be quite a challenge. It's going to be a much bigger deal than folks think. But starting today, they cannot have cell phones in class. We're going to see how that goes. Praying for teachers and others who have to enforce this. That includes smartwatches, by the way. If you think you slick and you're getting your text message on your Apple Watch, that's a no. They're saying that it's to stop cyberbullying and promote focus. For me, the main thing is about promoting focus, because how can you focus when you're texting? And even we saw it with the online school during the emergency phase of COVID, where, my child was doing high school in the dining room. And, you walk by, they can quickly switch over to a different screen. Now, meaning they're playing a video game instead of listening to the teacher. But, that can happen. That's part of school. If you're going to ditch, you're going to ditch. I mean, kids have to be able to work on their computers. But having the computer and the phone, it's like, yeah, you're not going to get that child's attention. We're going to go to Carl calling us from L.A. Good morning, Carl.
Good morning to you,
Happy
Dominic.
Audre Lorde's birthday, Carl.
Oh, yeah, that's something. Hey, look, they're having a meeting downtown again in City Hall over the renter freeze and no evictions. They didn't get to finish that business last week, a couple of weeks ago.
Well, you're talking about the city council meeting, which is every week.
Yeah.
But that would be that's going to be on the agenda, yeah.
Sure. Hey, ASAP Rocky, they in deliberation today. So, hey, was Reva Martin his attorney in 2021?
I have no idea. She is my friend, but I don't track all of her cases, I got to tell you.
I thought maybe she was on his case in 2021.
I do not know the answer to that. You'd have to check in with her. But what are you suggesting when it comes to rent freezes and all of the, further protections? I feel like renters did receive quite a few protections during the emergency stage of the pandemic and some more coming afterwards. I like to see measures taken so we can have people stay in their houses. I just feel like we need to go into the other end of the pipeline and start dealing with some of these corporate landlords, and really look at what do we do to get them to lower prices to begin with, and what can we do to make fewer big corporations like BlackRock even eligible to buy and build new housing. We need that new housing to be owned by actual humans that look at other humans rather than just credit scores and maximizing profits.
Yeah, well, people's income haven't been going up. Some people's income is still the same, $17.50 an hour, $7.50 an hour. It needs to be some way that the income can be matching the rent if they keep going up. So it needs to be a halt on rent increase and not taking people's vouchers away because they can't keep up with the rent. So, like this governor, I see the governors, they talking about having new governors come in. I'm sure the people want governor that's going to.
It's an election. New governors always come in. It's not anything unusual. He's termed out.
Yeah, but
so there will be a race. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I'm sure that there's something that the people are going to want out of the governor, like reparations, letting political prisoners go after years and decades in prison, and no new property taxes. And a governor can release a mayor.
Hold on for 1 second here. The no new property taxes, I'm going to push back on that because we already have that. It's called Proposition 13. I think that we need to reverse the no new property taxes on corporations. That's what we need to do so we could have money for our schools, and for infrastructure and for honestly, Carl, I think the government may have to get into the housing business. And I'm not talking about the feds. I'm talking about state and local government because right now you're correct. The average wage does not support the average rent.
Right. And right now, this guy's dismantling the IRS. It might be so many Republicans that's in deep with the IRS right now that they're going to just let it be dismantled for their benefits. So
I mean, that's for the benefit of the super rich. It's not for the benefit of you and I, Carl, because they're going to find a way to tax us. There's no question about that. The IRS already does tend to audit low working class and middle class people more than rich people because rich people, it takes more resources to do it. They've got fancy accountants to hide their shenanigans. So you need fancy accountants to do that forensic work to see how the cheating is actually functioning. And so the IRS is already skewed against the working class and the poor, and they're just going to make it that on steroids.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm taking my time right now to file my taxes. Enjoy the day, Dominique. Thank you for letting me in.
Good point. It's tax season. Let us not forget that. Yeah, I said on yesterday that I'm really hoping that ASAP Rocky doesn't end up doing a long term, or that he doesn't get convicted. I don't know about Arriva's involvement. About the governor's race, we are going to be talking much more about that. We've got basically an Alex Villanueva type character stepping in to the governor's race on yesterday. This guy who is the sheriff of Riverside County, who is very much in the mold of the new Confederate MAGA folks that are in the White House now. He's part of this sort of unofficial confederation of Confederate sheriffs, cowboy hat wearing sheriffs, that's kind of their trademark, who want to make wherever they are great again. Now this guy says California has turned into a nightmare and that he is going to make California great again. His name is Chad Bianco. And that would be what I would call a worst case scenario as far as someone like him ascending to the governor's office. News, traffic, and sports right now, and then more of your phone calls. I'm Dominique DiPrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. The Arkansas Travelers, a AA affiliate of the Seattle Mariners, will honor the Little Rock Nine with honorary uniforms for 3 games from August 21st to the 23rd. The Little Rock Nine were black students who desegregated Little Rock Central High School in 1957. The Alfred Street Baptist Church in Alexandria, Virginia, canceled its Christmas program at the Kennedy Center, citing new leadership under President Trump that opposes honoring artistic expression across all backgrounds. The church is seeking a new venue for the performance. America's only black cardinal, Wilton Gregory, commemorated Black History Month with a special mass in Newark, New Jersey. He delivered a hopeful message emphasizing that black history is about both the future and the past. And Steph Curry is the world's second highest paid athlete, earning nearly $154 million in 2024, with $100 million from endorsements. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
If you or someone you know is affected by the Los Angeles wildfires, you are not alone. No matter how sad, scared, or heartbroken you feel, CalHope is here for you and all those affected by the devastating wildfires. Find free, safe, and confidential mental health support at calhope.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Former Crenshaw High School star Marcus Johnson is a finalist for the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame, class of 2025. Johnson, an All-American at UCLA, played 7 of his 11 NBA seasons with the Milwaukee Bucks. He was a 4-time NBA All-Star and a first-team All-NBA selection in 1979. Former Lakers center Dwight Howard and Carmelo Anthony are also among the finalists. The Hall of Fame inductees will be chosen April 5th during the NCAA Final Four in San Antonio. 46 players from HBCU schools participated Monday in the NFL's HBCU Scouting Combine in New Orleans. It was a chance for HBCU players to make a first-hand impression on NFL scouts and player personnel directors. 7 players from last year's HBCU Combine earned a roster spot on an NFL team, including Rams kick returner Xavier Smith of Florida A&M. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Kadeen and Deval Ellis for P&G Good Every Day.
Babe, guess what? We can save big on all our favorite P&G brands like Tide, Cascade, and Febreze. Plus, support great causes every day.
Wait, hold up. You telling me we can save money and feel good about it? How?
Well, remember how Granny and Big Mama used to save money by cutting those coupons out of Sunday papers? Now we just go to pggoodeveryday.com, sign up for P&G's free rewards program, and get exclusive coupons.
Okay, so we can get VIP status and save money.
Exactly. We stock up on the P&G products so you, the boys, and I are good every day, just like our folks did for us.
Well, you better go visit pggoodeveryday.com right now, because you got to go buy some detergent and toothpaste and toilet paper.
Me?
Yeah, you. And with all that extra cash, I got to go buy these new sneakers.
Okay, funny man, you got jokes. Boy, focus on these savings first.
Visit pggoodeveryday.com.
I have a dream today.
The road to freedom wasn't paved with just big moments. It was built day to day, step by step, voice by voice. This February, experience Black History Month through the stories that shape Los Angeles and beyond. KBLA Talk 1580, where Black history lives. KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
It's KBLA Talk 1580's third annual Black History Month luncheon, and you're invited. This is year 2 of our climate justice work, and this year's $2 million 12-month campaign is all about linking and combating the relationship between climate and Black health. We already know that these wildfires will leave in their wake even greater inequities, including negative impacts on Black health, given the toxic air pollutants circulating in the air we breathe. So, as part of this year's climate campaign, we're honoring Black doctors and leaders in healthcare at our annual Black History Month luncheon, Friday, February 28th at noon. If you would like to join us, just go to our KBLA 1580 website and register for your chance to be our guest at the luncheon. We'd love to see you. And in case you haven't heard the news, KBLA Talk 1580 was just named one of the semifinalists for the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down. Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
And the stories keep going. I mean, it's not all Washington. There's so much going on around us that I want to make sure we are tracking. UCLA suspending students for justice in Palestine because they say that there was vandalism at one of the UC Regent homes. This guy, Jonathan Shores, who is a Hollywood type, who said that, you know, his home was vandalized and a protest happening in front of it. And so they've suspended not the people they say that were protesting, but 2 different organizations from the campus. And there's no end date on those suspensions. They're just indefinite. I think that's interesting, alarming. I mean, we have seen the uneven hand with which all of the universities here in California have handled these protests, allowing so-called counter-protesters to attack students for hours without stepping in to help, but quickly punishing individual students and organizations that have a pro-Palestinian or anti-war message. This petition for Denmark to buy California now has 250,000 signatures. And I guess it's their clap back to the president saying he was wanting to buy Greenland, which belongs to Denmark, according to the colonialist map of the world, because there are indigenous people there in Greenland, but it's been colonized by Denmark. And so now they have a petition going around about buying California. And they have, we'd get a bunch, they have a list of reasons, including we'd get a bunch of extra tech bros, and they'd be able to changed the name of Disneyland to Hans Christian Andersen Land. I guess that's the guy that wrote all those fairy tales. It's a humorous pushback to all of the annexation talk from the White House. But to be clear, I do not think the president is joking. I do think he believes he can get Netanyahu to just give him Gaza. And I do believe he thinks he can just purchase Greenland, like that you can just take other people's countries. Well, I mean, you can if you're willing to go to war about it, but just unilaterally take their countries. So, I think it's fitting that they chose California. I mean, if I was going to buy any part of the United States, I'd come get the Golden State. Yeah, but to your point, Carl, a whole bunch of people are running for governor. And there's just one big high-profile MAGA Republican, and that's this Chad guy. His name is Chad. You can't make these things up. And he's the sheriff, the old sheriff in town. As I mentioned, these No Kings, Not My President rallies happened all over the place. Not just in Long Beach. They even happened in Florida. And there were thousands marching, well, at least over 1,000 in Boston at their city hall. Elon Musk has got to go. It's freezing out there, too. People braving all kinds of weather in Seattle, in Orlando, in Washington, D.C. Deport Musk, dethrone Trump. These are some of the signs that folks are holding in Phoenix at the Capitol there. I think this is just the beginning. I believe it will continue to grow. These protests will continue to grow as people start to understand and realize the impact of the things that these MAGA Republican folks are actually doing. When people start to see those fees come back on our bank statements, ridiculous fees, hidden fees, overdraft fees that the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau was getting rid of, and now these guys have gotten rid of that bureau. Things like that. As it starts dawning on people and hitting them in their wallets, I think these protests will grow. But again, on yesterday, Denver, Oakland, San Francisco. There was one here in LA, actually, Miami, Maryland, Annapolis. This is happening all across the country. For some reason, I don't see them streaming it 24 hours on CNN or MSNBC, but they are happening. There's an organization called 5051, 50 protests, 50 states, one day, and they're among those driving these protests. Let's go to Dwight calling us from the city of Compton. Good morning, Dwight.
Good morning, Dominique. Good morning to you, Miles, Tavis, and everyone there at KBLA, and good morning to the KBLA family. Dominique, I'd like to thank you for reminding me to focus on the things that we want, not on the rhetoric that we have from these Republicans, because that's going to have to stick with me for the next few years, because they have no facts. And thank you for challenging them on their facts. What facts they have? They come on with their propaganda like the person you're going to have in the next hour, but they have no facts to back it up, and they have an excuse for everything Elon Musk does, everything Donald Trump does. They have a million excuses, and the lies come from Fox News, who was sued, lost a lawsuit for $787 million. They never talk about that, and that's where they get most of their information from. A company that was sued and lost a lawsuit for telling lies to their viewers. So, Dominique, and the lie about the immigrants eating the dogs, eating the cats, we could say that they're crashing our planes now.
Well, I mean, and we can say it, and it's terrible because it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you saw the pictures of that plane, that Delta Airlines plane, upside down yesterday. Just as the Trump administration slashes the FAA further, well, under the Doge, Department of Grifters for Elon. It's it's kind of scary. Like, I like to travel. You know?
Yeah, and it's starving the kids because they cut the U.S. aid program, which they said now malaria is getting ready to start in the African countries, and they usually give them nets and the kids medicine because it mostly affects children and pregnant women. And now they have food just rotting on the docks, and the medicine not giving kids and the people that are suffering from AIDS and HIV, they're not giving them the medicine, and people are literally dying. So they're killing and starving children, and they're hurting the farmers here in America that grow the food to send to the USA aid program. And last, Dominique, we could say they're stealing our data because they hacked the U.S. Treasury Department, Social Security, IRS. I mean, Elon Musk, now he's getting sued so much. Trump said he's not head of the Doge anymore.
Right, now they're saying he's not the head of it, which is ridiculous. I mean, they have another guy who named Joshua Fisher who says that Musk is a non-career special government employee, a senior advisor to the president who does not actually oversee Doge. I mean, but they can say anything, just like, they do on their taxes. They can say anything. But that's because Judge Chutkin, held a hearing in a case that actually challenges Musk's authority. And she raised, and she raised this, and now they're saying, in this lawsuit that that Doge is unpredictable and scattershot. No kidding. That's what Chutkin appeared to co-sign on, and so now they're trying to say that it's not run by Elon Musk. But surprise, surprise.
Yeah, and thank you for keeping me reminded to focus on the things that we want and focus on God blessing us and protecting us, because that's something we're going to have to steadily keep in mind, and he'll amaze you with the miracles that he'll perform. So, Dominique, thank you again for keeping us informed, and thank KBLA for getting us through these hard, tough times. Thank you, Dominique.
All right. Thank you, Dwight from Compton. We love you more. 800-920-1580. That's the number that Dwight from Compton called, and that's the number that I invite you to call as well. I'd love to talk to you. I think one of the ways we get through troubled times is talking to each other and having that support and sharing information. U.S. District Judge John Bates wrote that they're saying Doge isn't not an agency. He says this appears to come from a desire to escape the obligations that accompany agencyhood, such as being subject to the Freedom of Information Act, the Privacy Act, and Administrative Procedures Act, while reaping only its benefits. The courts are trying. We'll see if they comply. Love to hear from you. We got phones open all day long. And I should, in John Wood's defense, I mean, he is a Republican. He's a really scary Republican because he does actually tend to come with facts. But we'll see how that goes down next hour. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
Life blooms in beautiful ways. The Afia Center invites you to celebrate at the end with Red Gala, honoring the strength and resilience of Black women living with HIV. Join us for an evening of empowerment as we launch the Barbara Cambridge Scholarship and kick off Herstory Month with our theme, Life in Full Bloom. Your support helps create vital HIV programming and builds a future where every voice is heard and every story matters. The end with Red Gala, because every flower deserves to bloom.
To learn more and to donate, visit theafiacenter.org.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement. Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy and turn everyday purchases into extraordinary trips. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges where you just check in and chill out. Open up a world of possibilities with Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio, KBLA Talk 1580.
And as always, I'd love to hear from you. 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. So much is going on around here. But like I said earlier, you are not obligated to keep up with every little poot and burp that comes out of these folks' mouths. It's too stressful. And that is a form, I retweeted someone, it was Charles Blow, who said it's yesterday, that it's psychological warfare. So we can extract ourselves from that and decide what merits our focus. Going to Fahima, calling us from Washington, D.C., the nation's capital. Good morning, Fahima.
Baragani and K. Pasa, Dominique. I just called in to just to address two very important points. Pennsylvania Congresswoman Summer Lee is having a virtual tele-town hall to address many of these issues, and we all know the things that are going on. And it's this Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern, and that would be 3 p.m. On Western, on the West Coast. And the people can access it it's going to be on Facebook Live. You can just go to Facebook and put in Representative Summer Lee, or you can join at 855-731-4613. That's 855-731-4613. And it's also on her Twitter page on the Hellscape, so you can just look up Representative Summer Lee.
Yeah, and most of our representatives here in LA actually do have their own teletown halls too, so you can check with your actual own representative and see if there's something locally. I know Maxine Waters does them.
Some of them will be on this teletown hall. Many of them will, because different people are taking initiatives. It's not just for people in Pennsylvania. So I just would encourage people to tune in. And the other thing I wanted to say is that Woodrow Wilson did the very exact same thing that this administration is doing in terms of attacking black people and removing them from their jobs in the federal government. This happened before. History is the best teacher of the future, of what's going on now. And the last point, the reason why Musk is saying that he's just an advisor and not over Dodge, he's just an advisor to the president, is because he doesn't want to. He's trying to escape the responsibilities because it's a made-up agency, and one needs security clearance, and the agency was never sanctioned by the United States House of Representatives.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what the judge was saying that I was quoting right there, which is they want to have an agency without the responsibility of an agency. And that would apply not just to Elon, right, but to anyone that works for that agency, all these little 20-somethings with their strange social media posts, which would probably normally disqualify them from that kind of a position. But when you talk about this having a precedent in history. I want to ask you, because I know you're there in D.C. and you know a lot of folks that work within this, within the government or federal related jobs, is that there's this talking point going around. It's really popular on the internet that DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, only benefits white women. And therefore, we as Black people shouldn't worry about it. It's not our problem. And my understanding from what I've read about those layoffs is that the people that are targeted on the DEI lists are mostly Black people. And that a lot of those senior level folks, as far as, directors of diversity, equity, and inclusion, many of them are Black. Not only that, we can't just measure it in terms of jobs. We have to measure it in terms of impacts. When a company like Target or Walmart says they will no longer sponsor DEI labeled events, that means they won't sponsor the Black History Parade or the, API festival, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that, to me, has real impacts on our community. And I just wonder how you see it living there in D.C. and knowing some folks. Is it primarily white women that you see impacted by this?
Dominique, you laid it out accurately. And the misinformation is part of the PSYOPs to get us again to operate against our best interests. You have funding. The Congressional Black Caucus had a program, Entree to Sweet Seed, that got Black people into those high-level management positions. This narrative that white women are the only ones that benefit, it's a false narrative. I think you addressed the other day how this dismantling and the attack on DEI is going to impact HBCUs. And so this false narrative, the disinformation campaign, is just another piece to the puzzle to get us to operate against our own best interests. You laid it out perfectly.
I find that, I tend to say stuff once on the radio, Fahima, and then I move on. And I'm learning that I can't do that. It's like I hear other talk radio hosts also, they say the same thing over and over and over and over again. And I don't want to do that, but I think there has to be, there has to be some understanding with these talking points, because I say it and then I hear people repeating it. And I'm like, not only is that not really true, but it's not in our best interest to keep repeating it, because then people say, oh, I'm not going to worry about then. And that is a problem, I think. It's like people saying, it reminds me of so many talking points that happened during the presidential race. Well, Kamala Harris is not really Black, so she doesn't care about Black people. That is not true. And it's also problematic if you go around saying it. People are still saying that BS. Well, and yet look at the what we're facing, the anti-Blackness, the magnitude of it. You said it's not new, and yeah, I know that. I know Birth of a Nation was screened in the White House. But for me to see the work of my own father, we don't have to go back to Harriet Tubman. The work of the generations, that were activists in the 60s and 70s, to see it just have a sledgehammer taken to it, it doesn't feel good.
Well, Dominique, repetition builds retention on both ends. Because I really thought that after the election that the folks, that the disinformation campaign would dissipate, but it hasn't. It's intensified, and they've continued to share misinformation to mislead us, and they continue to repeat it. And so what we have to do is we have to reiterate the facts. We have to continue to reiterate the facts. It is a blatant lie that white women benefit solely from diversity, equity, inclusion, because the DEI effort was a direct response to the racial reckoning when George Floyd was murdered before our very eyes. And many of these entities stepped forward and said they were going to try to do better, and many of them didn't keep their promises.
And see, I think this is exactly the type of talking point that people repeat And they think they're being super pro-black when they do it. Like, yeah, because it really only benefits white women. Nah, I'm so woke. I'm so Dr. Umar. But the reality is that actually is undermining us. And I'm sure then the thousands of black people in those positions who are getting laid off probably don't appreciate that talking point. I know personally many businesses right now, I could rattle off, I don't want to put their business in the street, but I could rattle off close to $1 million lost just here in LA from businesses, black-owned businesses, that were receiving money from corporations for services. It wasn't a handout, but it was coming from a specific pot of money for under the umbrella of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we're going to see more of that. I talked yesterday about how they're saying they're going to defund public schools that do DEI. But by DEI, they mean Black History Month, Asian Pacific History Month. They mean and affinity groups. That means your black student unions. That means scholarship programs from kindergarten all the way through college. That the education secretary already said that could mean black studies could be literally illegal in public schools. All of this is falling under DEI, and y'all want to keep talking about this. Oh, it only benefits white women. That's why we have Talking Point Tuesday. I'm sorry, Fahima, we're up against it right now. It's time to go into news, traffic, and sports. I always appreciate your fact-based commentary. John Wood Jr. joins us next hour. Talking Point Tuesday, KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know with BIN News. The Arkansas Travelers, a AA affiliate of the Seattle Mariners, will honor the Little Rock Nine with honorary uniforms for 3 games from August 21st to the 23rd. The Little Rock Nine were black students who